Welcome to the NerdLore podcast. We talk stories, theories, and lore. I'm one of your three hosts, Shiny Shoes.
And I'm Crash Darling.
And it's your boy Scandal, baby.
And today we're going to look at the evolution of video game through our eyes. You see a wood farm around here? I don't. And then they explained to me that there was a wood farm.
Trees?
You mean a forest? This is gonna be a weird format, boys. So we're gonna start off, right? We're gonna start off with an open-ended question, and we're gonna see where this conversation takes us. All right?
Okay.
What was, in your guys' memory, the first video game you ever played?
Castlevania on the arcade.
Okay. And
It was at a pizza. It was on a pizza place. It was one of those that I'm old, man. So it was one of those that was like a flat table, and you looked down, and when you looked it down, the video game was there. The first one that was there was Castlevania.
That makes sense. Okay.
Well,
Shiny.
I was a poor boy, so we didn't get to go to a lot of arcades. I remember a Super Mario Brothers game, and I don't remember if it was one or two. It was the one where you pretty much spend your entire time in the castle or whatever, and when you would get the flower, you would turn red and white, and it was real 2D, and the whole goal was to run and jump over Bowser to get the little axe.
That's the first one, but
okay.
Super Mario Brothers.
That is my first. That's the oldest game I can remember. I mean, outside of Tecmo Bowl and stuff like that. But I don't know if I consider that too much into it. Not the actual one for Super Nintendo or whatever. The Tecmo Bowl handheld, where it made a little noise. Ever played that?
Oh, y'all are old.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's really odd, and I don't know if anybody knows this, Super Mario Brothers was actually on the arcade before it was released on the Nintendo, and it was a different game. It wasn't different. The basis of it was still the same, but the level, level 1-1 was different than the one that was on the Nintendo. Because I remember my mom would do laundry at a laundromat, and they had arcade games there, and so I would go and look through all the dryers and hope that a change had fallen off someone's pocket and I could get a quarter. Please. And then I would go play. Yeah, they had that, and then that was the first time I ever. Later on was the first time one of the rolling ball arcades was for Topgolf, but it was not for Topgolf. It was for horseshoes. I think it was at that arcade. It was really.
What a weird horseshoe movement.
The dumb things you remember as a kid.
What a weird horseshoe. I mean, I just remember playing a lot of Super Mario Brothers, that first one on the regular Nintendo. And I remember, this is how far back it was, and this is the exact memory I get with it. So I was, in kindergarten, all right? I was in kindergarten. I remember I got off the bus, and it was Christmas break. So, back then you'd get a week off for Christmas break. So I remember I got off the bus. It was Christmas break. There was snow on the ground because back then we used to get snow also. I walked from the bus stop home, and I remember when I went in, I was given the Nintendo because they were like, hey, we'll just give it to you now because you're starting your break and you're going to get it for Christmas anyways. I was like, cool. And I remember after a day or two, I remember just playing it all the time, being excited. But I remember after a day or two, literally sitting in my living room, just praying that I could get this game cartridge to work. Because every time I put it in, it would put green lines all over the screen and it wouldn't work. That's my exact memory with it. I remember you blew in the cartridge, even though it said not to. Give yourself an asthma attack trying to do that.
God. Then sometimes you had to push it in and push it over to the side.
Yeah. You just hope. You're please.
Yeah. What about you, Crash? What's your first video game you remember?
It's actually interesting to me that you guys started with arcades because also poor, but my first game was Pokemon Blue on the Game Boy Color. I had that OG.
That was the first game you played?
Color?
Bro, dude,
listen,
I'm really old.
Listen,
I was old when that
you gotta experience that game in black and white, like the
Not
rest of us
white,
got to.
Green and
gray.
It
was it was what are you black and white?
Oh no, was it Game Boy? Which one is the big blocky one?
That's Game Boy. That's not a color. That's regular Game Boy. Okay, yeah, that's how.
Game Boy.
I didn't get the Game Boy when it first came out. I actually got it for my birthday. I want to say I was in 4th grade, and I was given that game and a Game Boy Pocket. I remember I was given blue version Game Boy Pocket.
Wait, you must have been rich, man.
It was for my birthday. Listen, that was about it when it comes to gifts.
Go ahead.
When you had, like, I guess all the members of family got together and gave me one gift, and they're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Yeah, I heard that there's a new Pokemon game that came out."
That was so me. Every single version, I was like, please, just one. I don't need both of them. I don't need friends. I just need Pokemon. Every year.
Now, like, I was introduced to Pokemon in a weird way because I got the cards.
Was it in a white van?
It was, and I got some candy.
Bulbasaur.
Yeah. Well, what happened was one of my buddies actually brought a Game Boy to school, and he was like my best friend. So his name was the same name as mine. His last initial same name. So we literally sat by each other for years because our names were so similar. And he had it on a Game Boy, like old Game Boy. He was like, "Hey man, I've already beaten this game twice. You want to borrow it?" He's like, "Just don't reset it." And of course, what do you think I did? I mean, I reset it.
Dude, if I was shiny Sneaks, I'd be really mad at you.
Yeah. Listen, I played that thing. There was no light in my room. There was a street light outside, and I opened my curtain just enough so that the light from the street light could come in and shine on the Game Boy, just so I could play this thing till like 3 a.m. in like 4th grade.
Eventually, it came out with like a magnifying glass to make the screen bigger and a light, so that you can play, so you would never have to have that problem again.
I had one of those.
Do you know how much battery that light ate, though?
True.
Just slurped through.
So, first video games, that's a good one. Did you guys ever go to an arcade? Did you guys ever, like, go to Walmart and there was an arcade out front, like an arcade game to play out front? Or
your boy played Dance Dance Revolution like it was a whole revolution.
Nice. I totally forget that you grew up in the 2000s.
I grew up.
I'm gonna be. I don't think I actually ended up going to an arcade until I was actually like out of high school, and there was like a bowling place near me that had an arcade with it. Like a bunch of friends just went up there, and I remember walking around, kind of stuff.
So did you guys ever go to like the arcade that was like in the mall?
No, but I remember.
Is that still a thing?
I remember
it's still there.
Like, arcades would be like whole buildings, or there'd be like that gaming section at the movie theater. That was I remember that.
There's always like an arcade, like it was like a almost like a mini like Chuck E. Cheese where you could get tokens and things like that and tickets, and you would trade them in for crap that only cost a nickel, but you spent $40 to get.
True.
It was the same thing. Not until like I was out of high school. Maybe my senior year, we went to the movies a lot. My senior year, not me and my family, me and a bunch of friends, and they had that there. But I don't ever remember playing. I always remember just. But
like the movie theaters,
big high schooler in the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese. I never.
This is my first time. I did get immediately kicked out of the one in the mall, like after I went there, because they had that they had all those machines, and they had the one where you could kick the ball, and you were testing how hard you could kick it.
The soccer ball.
Yeah, the soccer ball.
Yeah.
Well,
it was
the
like
harder,
a take on that punching bag.
Yeah, the harder you kicked it, the more it. So we opened the back door type thing that led into the hallway outside, and I ran from that hallway through the door, and I kicked it and moved the whole machine. I got so many tickets. You know how they do the power thing? Well, it was like 99999.
Was it over 9,000?
Yeah. But I literally, like the machine was like, "Arr!" And the guy came over and kicked us all out. But I didn't get to spend my tickets, and that was like, again, I was 19. I should have known better.
Pile of tickets, like, I earned these.
But I could tell you, there are very few people that probably beat my high score of breaking the machine.
I played a lot of games at like Walmart was where I played most of my arcade games because we didn't ever go to like an arcade. So like Walmart always had arcade. They had I remember playing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game on the arcade. I remember playing the X-Men game on the arcade. The X-Men game was really cool. Like each one had like certain powers. Like I always played Nightcrawler because he could like zap across the screen real fast and kill all the enemies. And then I remember there was a Simpsons arcade game where like you could like team up with the 4 members of the Simpsons. And then the last one I remember was playing Street Fighter 2. And I remember getting Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, and that was like the game I played nonstop. And I could beat that entire game without taking any damage through the entire game with any champion. Like that's how much I played that game.
I remember Street Fighter 2 for the Super Nintendo, but I didn't get to do those things because back when I'm young enough, we had some kind of game system in the house, and like my family, they'd always just be like, "Hey, you want to go to Walmart?" I'm like, "No, if you guys all leave the house, I can get on the big TV and play video games for as long as you're gone. Just hang out by myself and do that." So I never really like even the Walmart ones because I didn't want to go to Walmart. They're like, "Hey, you want to come to Walmart?" I'm like, I want to stay home and play video games.
Didn't give us a choice. It was, "Hey, we're going to Walmart," and you're like,
listen,
okay.
I'm not saying my mom was leaving a 5-year-old at home a lot by himself, but she was, and she didn't care.
I was about to say, most of the arcade ones that I'd ever played, they were always at not Walmart, McDonald's. McDonald's used to have
the Nintendo 64 setup.
Well, they got that, and they got like GameCube setups.
Yep,
was like some of the most popular ones I saw. Where you played Pikmin, Pikmin at McDonald's. I'd be sitting there like I had a stack of fries, like sitting on the machine because I was gross, and I was like,
"Yeah, you're a kid. You didn't care. You can't get sick when you're a kid."
Pikmins. That's true. You can't get sick when you're a kid.
Yeah, 100%.
Nowadays you can.
Isn't it funny that like
I think that when like the Super Nintendo was awesome and gaming kind of got to the next level for me there because you got cool games. Island. I played and beat the Jungle Book, by the way. So get on my level.
Dude, nothing's harder than that Aladdin game was for the
Lion King. Did you ever play that? I didn't beat it.
Yeah,
it made me curse. As a little kid.
Was so fucking hard.
Yeah. Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World 3. So like that was cool, but I think so what was the game that finally was just like, you know what? I'm a gamer. That's gonna be part of who I am. What finally got you there? Because I remember mine. I remember
it wasn't Pokemon. It was Kingdom Hearts 2.
It was Pokemon Silver version. They did everything that I loved about the first game, and then they gave me so much more to do. So I remember getting that, and I was just like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever played."
I'm about to nerd out on you boys right here.
Oh God!
All right,
you ready for this?
Nerdy street.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Tetris. That was the game that I would play on the Game Boy non-stop religiously, and that's when I was like, it got so bad that you dreamed in blocks, man. Like everything was a block. When you were driving home from the park and you saw like the gap in the driveway from it goes like grass sidewalk, like or like grass driveway or whatever, right? You would think, okay, that's small enough that a square piece would fit in there, or the long piece would have to fit in on this one. Yeah, dude, that's all you thought about. If you played Tetris enough, dude, that is literally the only thing that was on your mind at all times.
Your whole world became actual shapes.
It did, dude. It was bad. And my mom was good at it, too. So she would take my Game Boy, and she would play, and we would play each other and try to figure out. Like, I remember my mom was the first one to get to, like, level 14 in Tetris. So 9 is the last level you can actually select to start at. But if it's like 10, every 10, was it like 10,000 points got you to another level? So I remember my mom getting to like level 14, and it took me like 3 weeks to get to level 16. And yeah, she was like my biggest competition back in the day, dude. But she grew up at like her first job was at a pizza joint. So like she played like Galaga and things like that. And dude, I've still to this day I've never seen anybody hit that fire button on Galaga as fast as my mom does. And she's just like that. It's just not
so fast that your mic cut out. It was too powerful.
I'm sorry, dude. Like it was really fun watching my mom play that. Just nice. Sorry.
I've never asked anyone this because I've always thought like maybe it's just me or a weird thing. When you guys used to have to like go on car trips or anything, did you guys used to kind of like look out the window and like pretend that you're like maybe a little Mario guy? Yeah, and you're running,
like front flips.
Yeah, and you're like jumping over things and like, oh yeah, I get it. Why do we all do that? I've never asked. Like I don't understand.
Gamers.
Yeah. I don't know. That I always done that, but I've never really talked about it because I was just like, oh yeah, that's weird. That's just a weird thing I do. But I bet more people do.
A lot of people do that, dude.
A bunch of people
do that. And if you don't do that, then you're
the weird one.
Yeah, you're a freak if you haven't done that. Do it right now.
Freak is a rough word, man.
Get in your car. No, get in the let someone else drive you. This is a really intense game if you've never played it before. You got a lot of mental thinking you got to do.
You're not ready for hard mode, which is when you do it while driving.
Yeah.
Start on easy. Didn't master that one. I've lost a lot of lives. Not mine, obviously, but
others. I get it.
A lot of hit and runs in my day, boys.
But you got the high score, and that's what really matters.
Yeah. Think about that.
There are serial killers still trying to catch up to my high score.
So did you guys know that Minecraft is the most popular game in the world? Just get away from that. Get away. I don't need the FBI knocking at my door. Minecraft, by the way. Did you guys ever play Minecraft? Minecraft's pretty...
I'll be honest with you, I've never played Minecraft. I've watched my daughter and my stepson play it, and they play it a lot, but I've never actually played it.
I don't have the art. I don't even know if artistic, but like the spatial care or awareness to do anything special with Minecraft. Like every time I do it, it's just like they're all building. All my friends they're building these giant castles made out of diamonds and all this other stuff. And they come to my house and like, what do you got here? I'm like, oh, this is my dirt house. Like, why? What? Dirt? I'm like, it's the most plentiful substance. Why would I build a house out of anything else?
Look, I made a cross.
Yeah. The house I make is underground where I just dig a hole.
Yeah.
And it builds stairs out of it. And I'm like,
they came to my house, and I literally, so it's all dirt. And then I've got a wood section. And then above the wood, I put a indoor aquarium. And first of all, I didn't know how to do the aquarium right, so I put a bunch of water in there. Well, if you don't do the water right, it makes like crazy rapid whirlpools in there. So like, I put it all in there. I put water in there, and I threw fish, and you just see fish flying around all stupid because I'm dumb. And I was real proud of them. Like, hey, if I look at my aquarium I built. And then they all went there. They're like, oh, this is horrible. And they all get in there, and they're like drowning because they can't get out. Like, yeah.
That's your real friends right there. Dude, this is shit.
Yeah, this is really bad.
Get in anyway.
They're like, what are you...
This is the worst.
Like, your whole bottom floor is made out of dirt. Why do you use wood? I was like, you see a wood farm around here? I don't. And then they explained to me that there was a wood farm.
Trees?
You mean a forest?
Yeah, what the hell, Shiny?
Listen, they made wood farms. I saw them. I was like, what is this? They're like, this is my wood farm.
I've heard of hay farms. I've heard of farms. I've heard of pig farms. I ain't never in my life, not a one time, never heard somebody say a wood farm.
Viewers, this is why I'm not going to play Minecraft with these guys either. They're making fun of my wood farm idea. It was a great idea.
Forest. You made a wooded area.
Yes.
Farm.
That too.
Next topic, please.
Moving on. You know, one thing that I was thinking about, like we talking about this topic. When is the first time that you remember gaming evolved into a social event?
Smash Bros.
Yes!
Melee, dude. Everybody had Melee.
Yeah. I was in 6th grade or 7th grade. I lived at my grandmother's house in South Texas. In Texas, you don't stay in the house. Well, at least with my grandmother, you had to go outside. Kids had to go out when the sun was up until the sun came down. So in Texas, in the middle of summer, it's freaking hot. So they gave us some stuff. So they put a couch in the garage. Well, they put a couch in there. I hooked up my Nintendo 64 to a TV that we put in there. Every kid in the neighborhood would come over to our house, sit in the garage, and we'd all play against each other in Smash Brothers and Mario Kart.
Oh, yeah.
We did that for hours.
It was that game.
Like the 96-degree heat.
The first one would have been Mario Kart.
Oh, yeah.
The first one would have been Mario Kart. And you could only have 4 people. But then you got to the GameCube and, Melee. And just... I played that when I was a kid. So your boy was trash. Like, people knew how to wave dash, and they knew how to, like, pivot. They knew how to do, like, jabs. And I was just like, this button... I was Kirby, and I was like, you know what? You go and get the brick. Here comes the brick. And I'm standing next to the edge, and they're coming at me, and I jump off and just go down the whole time.
I remember you used to have to leave your N64 on for 24 hours to unlock Mewtwo. That was what you had to do.
Dude, that was back in the days where you actually had to unlock stuff, and it wasn't $5. You remember that?
What a weird concept.
So fighting games were always the social ones for us, like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, but that was like Sega and Super Nintendo. That was probably the first time social games, like your friends would all come over and you just beat the shit out of them in Mortal Kombat. Nobody wanted to play Street Fighter with me because, like I said, I nerded out on that one pretty hard.
I wish I grew up with 2 brothers, but neither one of them picked up video. Like, neither of them cared. So even though we had multiple controllers, I'll go do something else. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Watch TV?
Trash. Just trash.
What was your first tournament? Have you guys played in tournaments? Like, what was your first group? Do you your friends never set up a bracket or did any sort of
Halo?
Then an older kid would show up and just beat ass.
Halo 2.
We used to run Halo 2 tournaments on weekends, and there were actually kids from other cities that were coming to play against us because we'd say, hey, $10 a team. We'd play doubles, and we'd just run this out of my house on weekends. That's what we would do. We would just have multiple people there. I'd win every once in a while. There were these kids that came from way down the road from us, and they come and they were so good. So, I mean, I would usually pick my partner based upon best friend. Hey, I'm gonna play with you, even though he wasn't really great at Halo. But I mean, I was really good, so I was like, hey, we'll win anyways. But when they came, I was like, yo, I need to pick a partner with some skill. But damn. I remember so many Halo 2 tournaments all the time.
What about you, Crashed?
For tournament? No.
Yeah. You never played any tournaments?
No, I had no friends, and my first tournament for anything was I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively.
There you go.
Yeah, that's all I did was just cards.
Like Magic.
Madden.
You were wrong until you weren't.
Madden was the very first tournament I ever played in.
What was that?
Which one?
It was, oh god, it would have been Madden 95, maybe?
Can I throw out a quick story?
Sure.
It's my favorite thing. So I have an older brother, and he would beat the hell out of me. But I learned how to play video games I would always be playing, right? But every time I go over to his house, I'd come up with a new way to beat him. So we were playing Madden, and the only things I knew how to do was I knew how to Hail Mary kind of well. And if the other player has the ball, you don't do anything unless they go for a quarterback sneak. You literally control one guy, make him run around the entire thing and try to reach you try to get them as close to whoever's farthest. And as soon as they toss the ball, if you just press the tackle button a bunch and the swap button, your characters will just all tackle whoever's nearest, and there's no foul for some reason. And he never figured out how I did it. So he would never be able to score.
That was older Madden, I think, than 95 then, man, because 95 they started having penalties. So But Madden 95 was great because it was like the first one where defenses played like a huge role in the game, and like you could do monster hits and try to force fumbles. Like that was the first time a hit stick was a thing, and so like you have the controller, and it has two fucking joysticks and the D-pad, right? So you would play with the joysticks, you'd audible and stuff like that with your D-pad, but this one, your right hand was your hit stick. So you would come down to like find them and hit them, and then you would fucking flick your hit stick.
And ball just comes shooting out of there.
Yeah, and if you went up and you would hit up high, if you went low, you would flip them over because you went like at the knees. Like it was good, man. Those were the good days, man. You got to learn a lot of aggression playing some Madden 95.
I played some Madden, and like we got into the Madden scene, but what drew me into like the sport
the football game, they just recently are supposed to bring that back. They stopped making those.
I would not play any other game because me and two other guys would start online dynasties.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and we literally we would go 20 years, and like every week, like I'd just send a text, "Hey, is your dynasty done? Can I advance the league?" It's a really cool concept, Crash, where like basically you control a team and you do everything for that team. Yeah, college school. So you recruit, you sign positions, you train. You do all of that, and it goes on a week-by-week basis, and the goal is to be the national championship, but everybody you're playing against is doing the same thing. You're all recruiting the same players, and then...
Five-star players are blue chips. Those are the ones you always went after, but, like, if you... Like, I'll be honest with you, okay? So, the first time I ever, like, knew anything about the military, I watched a game where the Air Force played, like, the Navy or something like that when I was really, really little. And so when we would do the dynasty, my brother and I would pick the shittiest teams.
Oh, yeah. So I would always pick the Air
Force because the Air Force team just wasn't ever very good. Well, then, like, you started getting a blue chip one year, and then, like, you would win, like, 8 games. And you could start getting more and more the next year because you were doing well, so people wanted to come to your game, and eventually, like, the Air Force was beating, like,
yeah, you're dominant, like, you start off the season as a 90, you're going, oh.
And, like, I remember every time you score a touchdown, they play the fight song, right? Like, they do that for every single team. Well, the fight song for the Air Force, like, I knew the tune, but I never knew any of the words. I only knew the tune because of scoring touchdowns with the team. And then whenever I joined the Air Force, when you go to basic training, you learn that song. So you learn the lyrics.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was really cool for me to, like, hear that tune for so long and then finally learn the lyrics to it.
I was gonna say that would have been an absolute head trip of like, this is from my childhood. This is an actual song? Who knew?
Yeah.
And I just remember always, like, we would basically try, like, the goal wasn't always to win the national championship. We wanted to win Heisman's and, like, as many rewards as we could get. So
that's the MVP.
Yeah. So I would literally just use running plays, and I remember I picked
backs were always the Heisman Trophy
Western Michigan Broncos, and they're so bad. But they had a running back that was really fast, and I renamed him to Buck Hughes. And literally, like, every week you would just see he'd have like 300, 400 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns, and I lost the game every once in a while. Like, I would lose and he'd still have that much. And my buddies, because you could comment on when they'd see those things, they'd always be like, "Do you throw?" They're like, "What do you got going on there?" Like, "No, our pass is a draw, or we run a counter and go." So I know you know a lot about football, Crash.
Let's change the subject of the sports games.
I was like, sports ball.
Sports
Go
real
team,
good.
push that thing to that side. Yay!
Get more points unless it's golf, probably. I have a question for both of you. So, what was your first the first memory you have of like video game innovation? I can give you an example. My first innovative controller was the controller for Guitar Hero 3. If you guys ever played that.
Oh yeah.
It went from being like joystick buttons to buttons and little tappy thing. You just go bing, 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 bing. I was always bad at it, by the way. Really bad at it. It could not. I think I started with.
Were you one of those that like only push down on it. Because like you can go up and down.
I was a baby. I had small baby
that's how you play.
Yeah,
man.
so I'd be like ding ding.
Yeah, you go that. Yeah, because you have a lot of people.
Like
a lot of people would go click, click, click. But you could really get going if it click, 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 click.
The funny thing about that is I didn't know you could actually do it both ways. I thought you could only do it down. So for the longest time, like I would just
so you look autistic as shit. Why are you playing your guitar? Your own guitar like that?
Because I didn't know.
You were doing your best.
I come to your house and we started playing that, and you put that shit down like you were playing one of those old slide guitars from country music.
Listen,
I lost my shit on you, man.
I appreciate it. I know you were doing your best. I didn't
have friends to tell me like, hey, it's a guitar, so you can like strum it, right? Now I just be like ding 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 ding. And I'd only I could do up to hard, so like my fingers are just going nuts and just whole song. I got really good at it. That's how I play all my rhythm games now. It's just like one fucking appendage and just
video game innovation. So this is a game I don't know if you guys played or not, but I played it before I played Elder Scrolls. It was called Jade Empire, and it was the precursor to all these really great BioWare games that came out. So like it came out before the Dragon Age and Mass Effect and all those other games where you make decisions and it actually affects the gameplay. This was the first time where like you played a game and your decisions in the game did affect the way the game played out. And I remember that thinking like, this is amazing. This is the first time that a video game is like, you don't just go from point A to point B. I'm making decisions and my decisions have real consequences. So like if I wanted to play as a jerk, bad things would happen to me. If I want to play as good things would happen, but I may miss out on some of the other things that could be cooler. So,
you know what? I can think of a game just like that. Shadow the Hedgehog.
Cops. I'm calling the cops.
So just to go back to what you were saying there, Crashed. I actually have a YouTube video of me and my brother and my buddy Tyler when I was in the Air Force with him, and we were all hammered, like beyond blitz drunk, playing Rock Band. And my brother, so I'm playing the guitar, and my buddy is playing the drums, but he's not very good at it. And my brother is recording just shit-faced drunk, and he's laughing, and you got to see this video. I'll put it in here, and if you feel like it, you can add the link to the video.
Oh yeah.
But it's fucking great, dude. I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's only like a 9 or 10 second clip. It might be a little longer, but yeah.
If you don't have really great Rock Band stories, I don't know if you were even gaming when that time was out. I remember, dude, we bought all the Rock Bands all the way to Rock Band 3, and we had the drums. We bought the full kits. I actually traded in all of my PS2 collection to get a Rock Band 2, I believe it was, and I traded all, and I had a bunch of money left over, so we bought money so I could buy songs.
You had to buy songs?
Yeah.
What the hell?
It came with songs, but you also had to buy extra songs.
What?
Yeah, that's how Rock Band worked.
Okay, dude, yes, it's there. I posted it.
Outstanding.
This is when I was in my punk band. This shirt that I'm wearing was hand drawn by our drummer, and it's a stick figure of it's like a woman stripping, and it says, "When I grow up, I want to be just like mommy."
Nice. Nice.
It's great. It was hand drawn by our drummer it was a stick figure. It was great. That's what that shirt is that I'm wearing. Sorry, go ahead.
So like we would play Rock Band, and we kind of grew up and it fell away. So like 2 years after we got it, kind of stopped playing. I lived in a house, and it was pretty much a frat house. It was like 5 guys living there. It's just nonsense all the time. Well, I come in, and one of the guys had broken out all the Rock Band stuff, and he was playing Rock Band with a bunch of people that I didn't really know very well. And I walk in, and the one guy's singing, and they see me like, "Dude, do you want to try this?" I was like, I don't know. I was like, I've never really tried it before. I don't know if I'll be any good at it. Like, "Oh, you're going to be good." And he's like, here, you just get to pick a song. He's like, you can pick any song you want. And I'm looking at him like, well, what's that song, Prayer for the Refugee? What's that? And they're like, this is one of my favorite songs. Like, you can sing it if you'd like. It's kind of hard to sing, but I think you can do it. And I was like, okay. They're like, what do you want to play on? I was like, well, I'm going to play on Expert because, that's how I do everything. And he's like, dude, you don't want to play on Expert.
I wake up in the morning and piss excellent.
They're like, you don't want to play on Expert. You'll fail for everyone. They won't get it. I was like, it's just a game. It doesn't matter. So he plays on Expert, and I'm literally standing there, and before the song starts, I turn around and I look at him, and I 99% it on Expert without even looking at the screen while looking at him. And then it gets done, and I look at him, I just drop the mic in front of him, I said, I'm the greatest. I walk out of the room.
And then everybody clapped.
No, they didn't clap, but the one kid that had played with us before...
They were just like this.
The kid that had played with me before, he knew, because we all had instruments we played, and I always played the vocals, he always did the drums, like, he knew, and he was just laughing. I just, walked away, and the kid was like, you suck. But
bamboozled once again.
Rock Band's so good. I wish I still had my Rock Band stuff. All the time.
It's hard to find nowadays.
It really is. Yeah. Speaking of, I think I want to move on to what I had for the last topic.
Okay.
Which was, since we're talking about evolution, we got to talk about VR. We got to talk about, do either of you own a VR set?
No.
Nope.
Dude, I want one. So
the Oculus 2 just came out, right? The new one?
I think so.
I use VR in my teaching. I have to teach VR.
The Oculus.
So back in the day, there was this game, and I can't remember what the set was called. Red something or something, I'm not sure, but it was like a headband that you wore, and it flipped this clear chip that it was like a square. It was clear, and it would go in front of only one eye, and you would see things moving. That was the first thing close to virtual reality that I've ever played. I didn't have one, but buddies had them.
There was a game that came out. I had to buy a $2,000 computer setup, and it had all these controls and everything, monitors in, and you were like a mech suit. And the game was super realistic. It had a gajillion buttons, and if you died in the game, it completely wiped your character.
You died in real life.
You had to reset. I don't remember what it was, but I remember these giant sets that you would have to get, and it'd be you'd have levers and all kinds of other crazy stuff you'd have to do just to play the game. And it was basically an online game, and you'd be battling against other people and stuff like that. Doing something like that in real life, not in real life, but getting that in a VR would be I've watched videos of people play the Star Wars game in VR. Looks awesome.
One of the games that I've really, really wanted to try out, because they're still adding content to it to this day, is No Man's Sky for VR. Just imagine being blazed, just in your chair, VR headset, lean back, just flying through the cosmos. I don't know why that just sounds transcended. I would love to do that. I would live for that. That's why I want a VR set.
I'm close. I'm ready for me having a heart attack where they give me the full treadmill to run on with full motion, so I can play PUBG in VR as a real person, running around just. They're like, hey, we've got 10 more miles to run. I'm like, hey, boys, I'm not going to make it.
Go on and tell me, boys, here's my ammo.
I'm having a heart attack over here. They're like, you want to play a game of PUBG? No, I'm still tired from the last game.
It's 4 weeks ago, bud.
Yeah. Can we get in the car? Is there a car around? Yeah, that's my dream of it. To play that full set.
Fully immersive.
Yeah, that fully immersive where you're on a treadmill and it has your arms hooked up and everything. Man, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm good.
Maybe in my lifetime.
I want them to get more innovative. I think Beat Saber is pretty decent for VR because I just like rhythm games. But that
yeah, we know.
Don't make me come over.
Do you put those on your lap too and just hit the, or do you actually swing them?
What? Oh, you talking about Dance Dance Revolution? No, I play with a controller at home on the PS2.
You don't even dance?
I don't understand. I just.
I gotta go.
I would play songs with the PS2 controller, just like using the buttons. And we had one dance mat, and I'd just be like, I remember the dark or like the deep dark forest or something like that, and they'd be like dancing over there.
So I think we should get close to wrapping this one up, but I do remember the original Nintendo having Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt, and then if you got there was one that was like an Olympic game that was like built into it, and it came with like a little running mat, and so like you'd have to actually be on the running mat, and you'd have to go like and actually hit your feet on the mat like you were running, and then jump if you wanted to do hurdles or whatever. Like, it was legit, but it was like so tiring because you were legitimately like with your feet. But you could do something where you could take a pencil and like balance it onto it and just go like, and the pencil would like hit it fast enough, and you like nobody would ever be able to catch you. Sorry.
Okay.
They'd find me in my living room dead. On.
All right. So, this has been the NerdLore podcast. Please check us out on Spotify, Podbean, and coming soon to other podcasting apps. This has been Crash Darling.
I'm Shiny.
Scandal, baby. Peace.
Good night.